What's up, vapors? Thanks for checking out Daily Vape TV. My name is Nick, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Axial RDA. Alright guys, so the random question of the day is, would you rather explore the infinite abyss of space or the depths of the unexplored ocean? Let me know right down there in the comment section below. I know I've been asking a lot of space-related questions recently, but I just saw the pictures of the black hole and I just thought that was really cool, and I just felt like asking this question. And to answer that question, I'm gonna have to go with space, because like I said, it is infinite. It is so massively huge that we just can't even comprehend how big it is. But the ocean is pretty cool as well, because there are some parts that have never been seen by human eyes, and I think that's pretty cool too. There's probably some freaky stuff down there. But anyways, let me know your choice between outer space and the depths of the ocean right down there in the comments. So today we're going to be talking about this guy right here. This is the Axial RDA from a company called MassMods, with a big huge shout out and thank you going to MassMods for allowing me to take a look at one of these devices for the purpose of making this video. So the way I got hooked up with MassMods is actually through Vapes. They reached out to Stan and said, hey, we want to send you guys some devices to review. He said sure, and they contacted me for my details, and the rest is pretty much history. So taking a quick look at massmods.com, this device comes in 3 different color options for you to choose from. You've got gold, black, and stainless steel, both in a brushed and polished variant, and it's only going to run you about $40 on their website, so I think that's a pretty decent deal. If you want to get one for yourself, I'll have a link on my website. Link to that will be right down there in the description below. But without any further ado, let's dive down to the close-up view and take a better look at this thing. Alright guys, so as you can see, we've got our Axial in its original little baggie here, so let's just quickly take a look at what we get inside of this thing. So, first things first, let's just take a look at the bag itself. It's embroidered with MassMods on one side here, and unicorn ink on this side. It's that nice little kind of velvety feeling baggie, which is really nice. Let's just go ahead and dump all this stuff out. There we go. First thing is we get the Axial itself. There it is in all its shiny glory right there. And I'm already getting fingerprints on it. So let's just put that off to the side, because this one is going to a lucky patron sometime in the future. So we also get a beauty ring. This is a 23 to 25 millimeter beauty ring right there. That's nice. And now you have your baggy O parts. So pretty much your standard fare, and a few little extras here. 510 drip tip adapter, looks like Delrin 810 tip. We've got a flat pin and a squonk pin included. You've got a spare set of O-rings and a spare grub screw there, and a big old Allen wrench. So everything you need to get going with this thing, and plenty of spare parts. Alright guys, let's go over the specs. First of all, it's 23 millimeters in diameter. It comes with a 23 to 25 millimeter beauty ring. It's got an 810 drip tip and a spare 810 Delrin tip included, and it comes with a 510 to 810 adapter, extra screws, and a squonk pin. It's a 2-post design with tons of airflow options in your airflow control, and the perfect canvas for most builds. Alright guys, so as you can see, I've got all the components of the Axial all laid out in front of me here. So first, let's just take a look at this drip tip. This is a 810 tip, nothing super fancy about it whatsoever, kind of a short and stout tip. As you can see, nice wide bore through the middle there, and otherwise it's just made of the same material that the device is. It also comes with a spare Delrin one as well if you would prefer to use that. And the piece we're looking at here is the top cap and airflow control sections. As you can see, it has a nice engraving on the top that says Unicorn Vapes Inc. I know it's super shiny. It's going to be a little bit difficult to see. On the inner lip there, you can see that it has a single O-ring, and that is for holding your drip tip in place. Now, when it's dry, it doesn't really have a problem grabbing onto any old drip tip that you might have, but if you get a little bit of juice on there, it becomes a little bit more difficult. So on mine, it actually slips out quite easily. So with this, very minimal effort needed to remove that tip. So kind of have a little bit of an issue with that, but overall it's not too bad. On the inside here, you can see that it is domed, so you get really nice flavor off of this thing. And here is the actual airflow control itself. You can see there's a single O-ring that holds this top cap in place. No issues with that. You have a wide open airflow. As you can see, it goes all the way through to the other side. Or you can choose to use these 3 little holes here. I'm not actually sure the diameter. They look about like 2 or 2.5 millimeters to me, just kind of eyeballing it, but don't quote me on that. And here is the barrel section. Really nothing much to this, just your airflow holes that go all the way through the other side there, as you can see, and this little indentation that goes all the way around the cap. Never had any juice caught in there or anything, which is kind of a nice thing. And other than that, it just sits on top of your build deck. You can see the little cap registration marks on the inside that line up with the tabs on the build deck. So here I have my setup with the coils still installed. As you can see, I've got a 5-wrap Alien on there, and the cotton kind of goes off to the side. I just wanted to give you guys an idea of how exactly I'm using this thing. In dual coil configuration, obviously, you can also use a single if you so choose, but with the cotton, you kind of have to push it a little bit ahead of the coil, just in front of it a tiny bit, because the posts are so chunky. And with that, I wouldn't use anything wider than maybe a 5 or a 6 wrap. I think even 6 is pushing it with this one here, because then your cotton's going to get a little bit smushed by the top cap. And here we have the build deck without any coils in it. As you can see, big chunky posts, and you can also see the big chunky screws as well. Here we have a little notch cut out on both sides to allow room for your screwdriver in there, and that's kind of a nice touch, very similar to the Rebirth RDA. Nice deep juice well, about, I'd say 6, maybe even 7 millimeters deep, and you also have a tiny little cap registration tab right there, which locks your cap into place so it doesn't spin freely. Underneath there, you can kind of see the screw coming up through the middle, the positive screw. That's where it's going to squonk as well. Never had any issues with that. And with this guy here, we've got 2 O-rings right down here at the bottom. Again, no issues with that. It holds the cap really nice and firmly in place. And at the bottom here, we have the screw that's holding in the negative, and we have the engravings all along the bottom. It says Unicorn Vapes Inc. and designed by Mass Mods right there at the very bottom. It's a little tiny engraving. So that about sums it up for the Axial RDA. Let's go back to the main screen, have a quick vape on this thing, and we'll talk about it some more. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the close-up section of the video. Now let's talk about my personal thoughts about this device, some pros, some cons, and whether or not it's worth purchasing. Starting off with the pros, my first pro is that it's fairly easy to build. With this one here, you basically just cut your coils to length, drop them down into place in the terminals, and then tighten them from the sides. It's very, very similar to the Rebirth RDA, which I thought was a breeze to build, so this one is pretty much one and the same with that. And my second pro for this one is the flavor. It is absolutely excellent with this device here. I would say this is more or less a flavor RDA over a cloud chasing RDA, as it has a slightly restricted airflow and a smaller chamber, although you can get some pretty decent clouds out of it at higher wattages. And my third pro is they give you a beauty ring right in the bag. I really like this because it's kind of an oddball sized RDA. It's 23 millimeters, and the beauty ring extends it out to 25, which most mods can handle nowadays. I think it looks pretty decent on the Delta, as well as a whole bunch of other mods that I have, so with that, I really like that they just throw that in the bag for you. And my fourth and final pro for this one is the high quality machining. You could definitely tell they didn't skimp on any expense with this device here, and I gotta say, for an affordable sort of RDA, it's a really, really high quality. I love the lines of this one. I like how everything fits together. The tolerances are excellent, and I just really have no complaints whatsoever about the actual quality of this device itself. Alright guys, so moving on to the cons. My first con is that it really gets whistly when you have the airflow set to wide open. Now, with this device, you have 2 airflow options. You have the 3 small holes, and you have a wide open slot. Whenever you have it wide open, it does get really super whistly, and for me, it feels turbulent as well. It's definitely not my preferred airflow, although I do like the volume of airflow that you're getting. It just adds a ton of noise and becomes really annoying. Moving on to my second con, which is a bit subjective, I'm not a huge fan of the restricted lung draw. Now, obviously, everyone's going to be different with this subject here, but in my personal opinion, I just really like the wider open, more airflow sort of RDAs, and this one tends to be more of a flavor RDA, like I said, and with that, you get that restricted lung, kind of slower, longer hit, and for me, I'm just not that type of vapor, so obviously, this one's going to be a huge hit for a lot of people out there that want this sort of thing, but for me personally, it's just not my style. And my third and final con for this device is that the build deck is a little bit on the cramped side. Now, this being a 23 millimeter RDA, your build deck is only going to be about 18 or 19 millimeters in width, and with that, you can only fit certain coils in there. Personally, I like a 5 or 6 wrap Alien, but if you're used to using 6 or 7 wrap frame staples or anything like that, those big jumbo wide coils, this is probably not going to be the device for you. So at the end of the day, is this device worth purchasing? Would I go out of my way to pick one of these up if I didn't get this one in for review? I'm going to say yes to this one, but only to fulfill a very small niche in my vaping world. Now, I couldn't see myself using this thing on a daily basis, but for a nice little change of pace sort of flavor BANGER RDA, I could definitely use one of those from time to time. And with that, I would definitely recommend it to you guys out there because it is a very nicely made piece of machinery, and I feel like it's a pretty good deal at 40 bucks. So make sure you guys check out massmods.com. I'll have a link on my website. Link to that will be right down there in the description below. But that about does it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this. Leave your comments down in the box below, and make sure you check out the advocacy and my social media links right down there in the description below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and as always, vape on!